Argentina were the most hated team at the 2026 World Cup.
And on the other side, you had the Argentinians, who frankly were last night an utter disgrace. Useless, actually, in the final. Messi went missing. They were nasty, as they had been the whole tournament.
I mean, the whole world was preying on their downfall, and they didn't help themselves with an awful showing at the World Cup final. They had more fights started than shots on target. They acted like complete sore losers at the end. You had Molina hitting Rodri when he came on to celebrate, Paredes trying to kill Gavi, and Eric Garcia. It was a disgraceful showing from the defending world champions. They came to wrestle, not to play football.
But the bad and the ugly certainly came at the end of the game, Shaq. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Can I say, I found this as unsurprising as I found it disappointing.
Now, Argentina being seen as the villains of international football isn't anything new. In fact, one of the earliest examples of this can be seen back in the 1966 World Cup. In the quarterfinals at Wembley, Argentina faced the host in an incredibly physical and bad-tempered match. Just 30 minutes in, the German referee sent off Argentinian captain Antonio Ratin for what he described as violence of the tongue. There was just one problem. The ref didn't speak Spanish, and Ratin didn't speak German. Later, the referee, Kreitlein, admitted he actually couldn't understand what Ratin was saying. He claimed he could tell from his facial expressions and body language that he was being insulted. Ratin couldn't believe it. He refused to leave the pitch, demanding an interpreter to explain why he had been sent off. The game was delayed for around 8 minutes as Argentina's players surrounded the referee and threatened to walk off altogether. When Ratin finally left the field, he made sure everyone noticed. He sat down on the red carpet that had been laid out for the Queen of England before grabbing and shaking the Union Jack corner flag on his way off the pitch. It made the atmosphere even more hostile. England eventually won 1-0, but the drama continued after the whistle. Reports claim that the Argentine players confronted the referee Kretlin in the tunnel and spat at FIFA officials after the match. For many fans, especially across Europe, the match helped create a lasting stereotype of Argentina as a team that pushed the limits, challenged officials, and weren't afraid to cross the line if it meant gaining an advantage. If the events at the 1966 World Cup made Argentina develop a reputation as this aggressive team, well, what happened in the 1978 World Cup was an even bigger controversy. Argentina hosted the tournament just 2 years after a military dictatorship had taken power under General Jorge Rafael Videla. At the time, the country was in the middle of the Dirty War, a period in which thousands of political opponents were imprisoned, tortured, killed, or simply just disappeared. Many critics believed the World Cup was being used as a way to improve the regime's image and distract the world from what was happening behind the scenes. Then came one of the most controversial matches in football history. Going into the final game of the second group stage, Brazil had already beaten Poland 3-1 earlier that day. That meant Argentina knew exactly what they needed. They had to beat Peru by at least 4 goals to reach the World Cup final. To make matters even more suspicious, Argentina's match kicked off later than Brazil's, allowing them to play knowing the exact score they needed. Then something extraordinary happened. Argentina, a team that had only scored 6 goals in the entire tournament up to that point, suddenly demolished Peru 6-0. Many people pointed to Peru's goalkeeper, Ramon Quiroga, who had actually been born in Argentina. Others claimed there had been a political agreement between the two countries, with rumors involving grain shipments, financial deals, and pressure from Argentina's military government in exchange for a favorable result. To this day, none of those accusations have ever been legally proven, but the combination of the military dictatorship, the suspicious circumstances surrounding the game, and the unbelievable scoreline meant that many people never fully accepted Argentina's first World Cup win. Then, of course, there was the hand of God in 1986, where Maradona literally scored illegally with his hand versus England as Argentina went on to win the World Cup. If you thought that was bad, wait till you hear about the 1990 World Cup. In the round of 16, Argentina faced their biggest rivals Brazil in Turin. For most of the match, Brazil were by far the better team. They created chance after chance, hit the woodwork multiple times, and looked much more likely to score. But everything changed after a drink spray. Brazil left back Branco accepted a water bottle from the Argentina's physio. Not long after drinking it, Branco said that he started feeling dizzy, weak, and struggled to keep up with the pace of the game. Moments later, Diego Maradona picked up the ball, drove through midfield, and slipped the perfect pass that led to the only goal of the match. For years, Brazilian fans insisted that the water bottle had been tampered with, but most people dismissed it as nothing more than a bitter excuse after a painful defeat. But then in 2004, Diego Maradona appeared on Argentine television and casually joked that the bottle had something in it. So instead of denying the controversy, he just fueled it even more. It was another example of a team willing to push past football's unwritten rules if it gave them a better chance of winning. Then in 2006, Argentina played some beautiful football, but that's not what they were remembered for. When they lost on pens to Germany, they started a full brawl in the middle of the pitch. The ugly scenes were broadcast around the world and quickly overshadowed what had been an excellent football match. For many neutral fans, this reinforced the growing belief that Argentina just couldn't accept a loss. When things didn't go their way, their emotions often boiled over into confrontation instead of having sportsmanship. I mean, they did the same thing after losing in the 2026 World Cup final. So it makes perfect sense when people say that they don't like Argentina. There is history of them being unlikable. And I'm not here to convince anybody to like the Argentinian team or the players. I've never done that. Even in the video that I made called Why Social Media is Wrong About Argentina, I never defended the individual players. I just defended the refereeing decision. The problem is that while some people have legitimate reason to not like the Argentinian players, a lot of people's hate is fueled by fake narratives. You have people to this day spamming the photo of Messi's handball against the Dutch in 2022. The ref had played an advantage, then Messi handballed it, so he brought it back to the original foul. Under the rules, Mateo Lahoz was fully entitled to award only a free kick without showing a card. How about the amount of people that were weeping from Embolo's second yellow card in the Argentina versus Switzerland game? Embolo did the most ridiculous dive I've ever seen. It was reviewed because Paredes was booked for it since the ref thought he fouled Embolo, and the review showcased Embolo trying out for the Swiss diving team. Embolo literally let his country down, yet Argentina got more criticism than Embolo did. There was also precedent for reviewing a yellow card and booking a dive, because a similar thing had happened in the USA-Paraguay game, where Tim Ream was given a yellow, but the review showed that Almiron had dove. But here's the thing. So many Argentinian haters don't care about what is the actual correct decision. I know this because I watched a lot of games with them. They don't care about the decision being legally correct. They get upset because they felt like the offside call or the foul call ruined the vibe of the game. Look at the game versus Egypt. People lost their heads when Lisandro Martinez was clearly fouled before Egypt's goal. Under the laws of the game, VAR is allowed to review an attacking team's action during the build-up to a goal, even if the incident happened several seconds earlier. Because Marwan Attia had committed a foul before the move eventually led to the goal, VAR was fully entitled to intervene. And when you look at the incident, I mean, Lisandro Martinez was being stepped on and his shirt was being pulled. In the final, there was a ton of backlash over Spain's goal that was ruled out, and I don't blame people. It was a soft-ass call, but it wasn't legally incorrect. There was a step on Otamendi, and he sold it well. Now, not every single Argentinian criticism is because of a conspiracy theory or old grudges. A lot of times, their own actions have given people reasons to get angry at them. In the quarterfinal game versus the Netherlands in 2022, Messi's handball wasn't a second yellow, but Paredes probably should have been sent off. He flew into a heavy challenge, then smashed the ball straight into the Netherlands bench. He received just a single yellow card for the entire incident. In general, the Argentinians get away without many booking, which is strange given how aggressive they play. They come out of the game so hard that they cause the ref to lower his threshold for what can be considered a booking. So naturally, people have every right to complain about that. Someone like Romero gets away with murder. People were focused on the Otamendi foul, but the Tagliafico stamp on Yamal was, in my opinion, a much better example of a bad decision from the ref. Could have easily been a card. But my point is that there's a massive difference between saying, hey, I don't like Paredes because he's a sore loser and he's a thug and he plays football like he wants to hurt people, versus believing that Messi gives half of his salary to Israel. And that's the biggest issue I saw at the World Cup. So much of the hate was coming from casuals who didn't even watch the games. They were falling for edited clips, AI generated images, fake quotes, and out of context videos. The smear campaign around Messi was insane. So much of it was led by blatant lies and crazy propaganda. Like, you know how many people were convinced by an AI image of Messi stepping on Jet Spence when it never happened? But nobody cared what was true. Like sheep, they just kept pushing whatever was the popular narrative. If it was anti-Argentina, they believed it. Every incident with Argentina was microanalyzed while they ignored other teams. Like, England literally scored because of a 100% objective error of the ball hitting a cable. So we're not talking about a subjective wrong decision from the ref. We're talking about a full-on mistake. Yet there was only a fraction of outrage compared to Embolo getting rightfully sent off versus Argentina. In Portugal versus Croatia, the censor picked up a touch of hair, but somehow that same censor couldn't sense a ball hitting a cable. These were the two most controversial matches when it came to officiating, but none of them were talked about as much as Argentina versus Egypt, where the Egyptians blew a 2-goal lead in 10 minutes, with every goal coming from open play. It's not like they conceded from some sketchy pen. But that's the thing. Many of the people who were weeping about these calls never cared about the fairness or integrity of the sport. They simply didn't want to see Messi and Argentina winning games. There's actually a name for it in sociology. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. It's the idea that when someone or something becomes incredibly successful, people naturally want to see them brought back down to earth. The more you win, the more people want someone else to win instead. Argentina are the perfect example of that. For almost 30 years after winning the Copa America in 1993, they were seen as one of football's tragic giants. They always had incredible players, but somehow found ways to fall short in the biggest tournaments. Many neutral fans actually felt sorry for them. Then everything changed. When Lionel Scaloni took over, Argentina stopped being the nearly team and became a winning machine. Since 2021, they lifted the Copa America, the Finalissima, the 2022 World Cup, and another Copa America in 2024. In just a few years, they went from underdogs to the team everyone wanted to beat. That's usually what happens in sports. Fans love a comeback story, but once that story keeps ending with trophies, people start rooting for someone else. Lionel Messi also only made that divide even bigger. Messi is admired by millions, but the never-ending Messi versus CR7 debate has turned every Argentina match into another chapter of that rivalry. For many Ronaldo fans, Argentina's success became Messi's success. I mean, imagine watching your idol crumble every single World Cup, see him have less finals appearances than Shakira, see him have less open play goal contributions than the drone in the England versus Norway game, and then you have to watch Messi lift the World Cup as the best player in the tournament. I don't blame these guys at all for hate watching. The more Messi was celebrated, the more these guys wanted to tear him down. That meant that every controversial decision involving Argentina was magnified. A debatable penalty suddenly became evidence of corruption. A close VAR call becomes proof that FIFA wanted Messi to win. Every small incident became another piece of a much larger conspiracy in the eyes of his critics. Then there's Emiliano Martinez. As brilliant as this guy has been for Argentina, he's also a very divisive personality. His penalty shootout mind games, celebrations, and willingness to get under the opponent's skin have made him a hero to Argentinians, but the complete polar opposite for everyone else. Like, some people love the confidence, others see it as disrespectful and lacking class. As I stated multiple times in the video, though I'm pretty sure most of the people that I'm talking about don't have the attention span to watch this video fully. But anyways, I mentioned it earlier. I completely understand why people don't like certain Argentinian players. Emi Martinez is a rage baiter. Romero is overly aggressive and dirty. Paredes doesn't accept losing well. Enzo Fernandez is cocky. De Paul can be annoying. A lot of them were protected by how much people loved Messi. But here's my thing. Say you hate Argentina because of a specific moment, a specific incident. Don't say you hate Argentina because you were fooled by an AI-generated image on Instagram or a fake quote that was spread on Twitter. The truth is, the more successful you become, the more people want to see you lose. And Argentina became the team that everyone else wanted to knock off the throne. And Spain did that. To see just how good the Spanish have been, you have to watch this video right here.